Hello and welcome to another edition of Full Volume. My name is Alan. I will be your host, and over the next half an hour or so we're going to talk about all the exciting things that are happening here at Central Library and of course across our network of libraries all over the city. So thank you very much for tuning in, and also I hope you're enjoying the sunshine. Honestly, I know we talk about the weather, it's just this perennial thing we never stop talking about, but isn't it amazing? It's absolutely beautiful. I don't really remember a stretch like this in my 11 years living in Manchester, so everyone's making the most of it. I hope you are too. Just put that sunscreen on, okay? And the good news is it's set to continue into the month of May, so hope you're out there topping up your tan while listening to the Central Library podcast, of course. Okay, so a full half hour today. It's chock-a-block. Let me tell you about what's coming up. We'll start with my chat with Stanley Chow. He dropped in last week to say hi. Now, if you're into illustration, you'll know Stanley is the king of illustration. He's done David Beckham, Beyonce, boys from Oasis, Donald Trump. The guy is amazing. He's a super talented guy, and he sat down to tell us all about, well, his career really, and also to let us know that his portraits are now available to buy at the Central Library shop as well. So we will be talking to Stanley in just a bit. We'll also have Branch Out as usual. This month we're in Chorlton to celebrate the opening of Chorlton Library back after a year of refurbishments, and I had a wonderful couple of days over there. We'll hear from all the people who worked there, some of the dignitaries. We were also there for opening day when they did the big reveal, so we'll have lots on that. So this month's Branch Out is Chorlton Library, and then of course at the end of the half hour Gary will be here to talk about what's happening in the library going forward over the next 4 or 5 weeks or so. We'll tell you all the events that you can look forward to. This is Full Volume. Stanley Chow, thank you very much for coming in and have a chat with us. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So I've just been reading through some of the work you've done. It's pretty incredible, but can we start really at the beginning? So your parents are from Hong Kong, is that right?
Yeah, my dad moved over in the 50s, 58 I think it was, and then my mum came over in around about 72, 73.
And do you think, going on looking at your work now, that was there an influence from Hong Kong in there, maybe even subliminally, that you didn't realise was seeping into you?
I think it's a question that I do ask myself every now and again, and I think actually not really, to be honest with you. It's weirdly enough, it's like even though my parents are from Hong Kong, it's like I'm pretty much kind of like culturally I'm 100% English really. I think just because I was born here, there's really the Hong Kong influence is very minimal. You know what I mean? Other than every now and again when I start drawing food, I'll draw noodles and chopsticks and whatever. But that's pretty much kind of like the only Hong Kong influence there is really.
I think a lot of people expect that more, don't they, from kids of people from another country. They think, oh, you must have that influence. But you grew up in Manchester, so that's primarily going to be...
Absolutely,
yeah. Tell us about starting off then. So I can see here the White Stripes had a big hand, I think, in sort of taking you from the level you're at to another level. Would I be fair in saying that?
Yeah, they played a big part. It's like, but that was, we were going into about like almost 10 years into my career. Then I was a middling, illustrator. I mean, I was DJing as well. I was kind of DJing and illustrating and just kind of get my name kind of known around town. Mainly as a DJ really. But then it was like I did a bootleg fan art poster of the White Stripes because they were playing in town, and I kind of like I approached it with the promoters in terms of like, would you like to do something with this, and they kind of said, well, we can't really do anything because it's all the promotions done. But then I just put it on my MySpace, the image of this poster, and about a year later the White Stripes management got in touch and said, like, look,
we really like what you've done.
Well, yeah. Well, but basically, can you remove this off the internet, please?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's like, but then they said, like, look, however, Jack and Meg like what you've really done and really like what you've done, and
it's just a bit of control on their behalf.
And we'd like to work with you.
And you created what would now be seen as a bit of a relic, a USB stick.
Yeah, it's a USB stick. Yeah, it was like a little USB stick of Jack and Meg, and with the album on, and that was kind of released as a limited edition, and that went on to get nominated for a Grammy Award.
That's what I was going to say. You're a Grammy nominee. So was your name called out on the night? Are you the winner of the Grammy, or does it go to the band?
Well, I didn't go. You see, so I don't actually know what happened. Like it was.
Either way, it's quite an achievement. Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It was great. I mean, I would have gone, but but the thing was, like, my dad just died, and it was just kind of like it wasn't really the time to kind of.
But wow, that's incredible. I mean, maybe we should explain to some of the younger people listening. You know, music used to come out on USBs. Well, do you remember that time period in the middle of the 2000s? I think up to about 2010. I bought a lot of USB singles because they just didn't know what to do anymore. Digital was on the horizon, chomping at their feet, and they were thinking, how are we getting people to buy things? I do remember they resorted to putting the single on a USB to try and get us to go to the shop. But you know, iTunes was inevitable, Spotify was inevitable, I think, at that point in time. So everything moves on. So give us a highlight of your career. So a lot of people have contacted you and asked you to work for them over the last 20 years. So what's the big highlight for you?
Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, one of my favourite moments is like I did a picture of Nina Simone. Just this picture did well in terms of kind of like I know it got bootlegged loads in Brazil. People were just turning this image into like tote bags and T-shirts and which was another amazing thing. But then like it's about 6 or 7 years after I'd done the picture. Nina Simone had died by then. But Nina Simone's manager got in touch with me and said, "Look, we're re-releasing one of like Nina Simone's lost albums, and we would like to use your image as the cover." And I thought,
wow,
that for me was like, you know, was one that, definitely.
It's kind of as good as it gets, really, for an illustrator. You're going to be on a Nina Simone album cover. Wow,
absolutely, yeah. So I was really chuffed with that. Fodder on My Wing was the name of the album, and it's definitely one of the highlights. I'm trying to think of more highlights, but that's definitely the first one that swings to mind.
Well, maybe I'll remind you of a few. Well, you've worked for Saatchi & Saatchi, McDonald's, World Wrestling, Wired Magazine, but also a lot of us who take the tram in Manchester probably don't realise that we see some of your work kind of every day, really.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Since B Network's taken over, all my stuff.
Has it moved on?
It's they've slowly kind of like, you know.
Though they're having a big, in fairness, they're having a big rebrand, aren't they? We're going down the B route. But for quite a period of time then, it was part of the sort of prepaid ticket thing, wasn't it? Yeah. You could see your work at most tram stations, actually, and people probably don't realise that. I mean, getting that gig, how did you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, that was... It was good. It was great. I couldn't. It was just a real big surprise to actually kind of like be asked and be given that responsibility. Really. Because when they first asked me, it's like I'm not sure if I can actually do what they want me to do. You mean? Is this because it's like, you know, I'm just me, and it's like you want all this stuff doing. I was like, okay, you know, let's kind of. So I thought about it, and
would that be what you would consider like a big job?
Yeah, it was a big job, in like financially as well. You mean that was the you know, and then when you have a job that's quite financially like well paid, there's a new added pressure to deliver the goods, really.
There's one thing about being struggling and having that creative freedom and reaching for something, but when you get it, then the switch flicks to you better produce now.
Oh totally. But it was also like really pleasing to get that job, because it's like, even though I was it's what put me on Manchester's map, that job did. Because it's like, prior to that, I wasn't getting any work in Manchester. There was no, you know, there wasn't much, you know, there's probably plenty of Manchester work, but I don't think anyone knew who I was around about that time, really, you know what I mean? It was the kind of, like, doing that, and that's kind of like, okay, this guy's, you know, Stanley Chow, who's doing all his work, international work, it's actually from Manchester.
Yeah.
And that's when it it changed a bit, like, you know, that's when I started getting, you know, better known in Manchester anyway. Yeah, and deservedly so. I mean, you like I said, I've talked through some of it. You've done so much in your career. Well, listen, your work is available here at the Central Library in our front of house shop, and of course, it's available on your website as well. Yep.
I had a look earlier. There's some fantastic stuff on there. I just want to say thanks for taking the time out to come and talk to us. It's been really lovely to talk to you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank thank you so much to Stanley Chow. And don't forget, you can purchase Stanley's prints here at the Central Library shop on the ground floor. So thanks again, Stanley. Okay, let's kick off this month's branch out. Now, as you know, we went to Chorlton last month for the reopening. I cannot tell you how exciting it was. The building is fabulous. If you've been to Chorlton Library, you'll know yourself. It was always lovely, but now it's extra lovely. They've had a full year of refurbishments, and honestly, it looks absolutely amazing. If you're in Chorlton, please drop in and have a look at the brand new lovely library. So I spent a day there speaking to the staff and the people who use the library, and honestly, it's loved in Chorlton, the library. There's no doubt about that. I wanted to have a chat with some of the staff who, of course, make everything amazing over there. So let's start with Bev. She's been working at Central Library for a long, long time, and now she is managing Chorlton Library. So we'll hear from Bev, and we'll also hear from Kay, who's a long-term member of staff, and she had some wonderful things to say about the library. Unbelievably, Beverly has just told me that you've worked for Manchester Libraries for
42 years.
42 years. My God, that's incredible. Congratulations on that. So tell us, we're here today. It's the 1st of April. It's the reopening.
Yes, that's right. Yes, we're here. 1st of April, and we've opened the doors this morning at 9 o'clock. And what an amazing time it was. It was so nice to have a few people on the door waiting to come in. Obviously, they wanted to be the first, but everybody was welcome, and it was like welcoming everybody back into my living room again. So, amazing day for us all.
And with chocolate muffins as well, I see, which I've yet to have one, but I'm definitely going to have one before I leave here today.
Oh gosh, yes, the Barbican. Just down the road from the library, they provided us with some gorgeous buns, and the customers have been so pleased dipping into them. So, all been good today.
So tell us, 42 years working for Manchester Libraries. I mean, that is literally a lifetime. How do you feel it's changed over the years and in libraries in general? I know budgets go up and down, managers come and go, but for you, why is it that you've managed to stay the course for 42 years working at Manchester Libraries? Clearly you love working for Manchester Libraries, but tell us how you managed to do it for 42 years.
Well, you obviously can't see the big smile on my face now, but I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. I've just loved my job so much. The love of reading, obviously, the love of the building, the love of libraries, the love of welcoming people into this open space where they feel secure, and they can continue their lifelong journey of looking at the books that we have here. I've worked in many libraries within this area over the years, and this is my best, definitely the best. I spent 20 years in Central Library, but Chorlton beats them all.
Oh, that's fighting talk. Wait till they hear that back at Central.
Everything's expiring. Every single corner of this building, as you walk through the doors, you'll be amazed. You can just come in here, get lost, taking all the wonder, taking all the sights, and just enjoy. It's a space for you to come in and feel the warmth and welcome of all the staff here.
And you told me earlier on that you used to come in here as a kid. So it must be a pretty kind of full circle moment for you then to be sitting here today, having been here as a kid, seeing how it's changed over the years. And now you're sitting here as the manager, sort of opening the doors on a brand new chapter. You must feel great about that.
So yes, first of all, yes, I used to come into Chorlton Library as a child. As soon as I walked through the doors, it was looking straight up to the wonderful dome. Sadly, the dome got hidden over many years, but once it's opened up now for everyone to see, it's amazing. But working here, I didn't ever think when I used Chorlton Library as a child that I'd ever start working here. And when I did start working here at the age of 20, some of the old dears that were still here as staff remembered me. So I must have been a good child.
I imagine you are, and you're a very good manager. Listen, thanks for talking to us, and the best of luck with everything. I really hope it goes well for you. It can't not. It's been a wonderful refurb, so all the best, Beverly.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
I feel incredibly excited. And it's so wonderful to see all the faces that are coming in today and looking up to see the refurbishment that has taken place. When I say looking up, it's the amazing dome that's been reopened, that was sealed up in the 1970s, and it's absolutely amazing.
Why did they seal it up? Because it's so pretty. It's beautiful. When you walk in the door, it's the first thing you see, and the light is beautiful, and they've done a fantastic job on the refurb. Why were they hiding it away, do you know?
I think back in the day, in the 70s, I think it was just part of the fact that it was just storage space up there that they could probably use. But the balustrade is opened up, and so on. And it looks something like out of Titanic. It just looks incredible, awesome.
So for you, you say you've worked in Manchester libraries for 30 years. What attracted you to libraries? And you're still here 30 years later, so obviously you really love your job.
I absolutely love my job. I first started working in Central Library in 1991 when I was 21 years old, and I'm here now, and it's just been every day, sometimes feels like the very first day, and that's how it has to be treated. And all the activities that are going on, libraries are just every day, they're evolving more and more and more, and people just say to me as well, do people still use libraries? Oh my gosh, don't they just? Can't always afford to buy the books, can't afford the Wi-Fi. So now it's open to everybody. It's an amazing place to be.
Thanks a million to both Beverly and to Kay. Wonderful ladies. Do a great job keeping it all together over there at Chorlton Library. And thank you very much for your time. In fact, we got so much good stuff while we were there at the opening that I'm going to carry a little bit over to next month, because we just don't have time on each episode to make branch out any longer than we already do. So next month, what we're going to do is just carry a bit of the audio over, and we'll hear from some of the people who were there on opening day. And that includes Councillor John Hacking. He is the Executive Member for Skills, Employment and Leisure. And we'll also hear from Neil McGuinness, who is Head of Libraries. So, yeah, tune in next month for a second part, if you will, of our trip to Chorlton Library. But for now, let's leave the last word to the Lord Mayor, Paul Andrews.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. And I was really honoured when I was invited to come along and cut the ribbon to actually reopen the library. It's an amazing place now.
The job they've done on it is amazing. What a fantastic addition for Chorlton, the village itself, and for people to come and use this as a community hub, as libraries should be. I mean, how are you feeling about its sort of future going forward?
Oh, I think its future going forward is more secure now than it's ever been. And for people to actually come in and be able to use such an amazing facility as this, that's why we do all this stuff.
Really, really lovely to meet the Lord Mayor at the opening of Chorlton Library, Paul Andrews. Thanks, Paul, for your time. I hope you had a lovely day. And I'll just reiterate once again, it was a fantastic opening. And if you live in Chorlton, and even if you don't actually, take a trip to Chorlton and have a look at the newly refurbished library. It really is a treat. So that's it for this month's Branch Out. Thank you very much. Now it's time for this month's book review. Okay, it's time for this month's book review, and I have Carolina Chiara. I'm pronouncing that right, aren't I?
Yes.
I am. Carolina, you're very welcome. You've just started as an apprentice here at the library, is that correct?
That's right. Oh, it's so exciting to be here, and everyone's so welcoming and so lovely.
Oh, well, it's lovely to have you. I know I did the apprenticeship myself, and you're in for a wild ride. You are.
Yeah, I can already feel it, but it's exciting in a good way.
It is. It's brilliant. Oh, we're glad to have you on board. Before we go any further, we'll give people a little bit of background. So you've lived a long time in Ireland, but you were born in Moldova, is that right?
I was, yeah, born in Moldova, and then when I was little, my parents decided to move to Ireland. So, yeah, I was there for many, many years. Then I moved around Europe a little bit and America, and then here I am.
Well, you've got an Irish accent, that's for sure. So there's no Moldovan in there. I can't hear any anyway. And what part of Ireland did you move to from Moldova?
Kildare, County Kildare. So
wow.
All the sheep, all the green fields, the Curragh, if anyone's from Ireland.
It's a nice part of the world, though.
Yeah.
Do you go back and forth?
Yes, very often. I mean, every other weekend. So it's so close to home. It's lovely to just get a flight back to Dublin, back to Manchester.
Oh, it's dead easy, isn't it? Yeah, it's dead easy. I'm going home this weekend, actually, looking forward to it.
Jealous.
Yeah. So you're going to review a book for us, and you've gone for a Stone Cold classic. It's The Shining by Stephen King.
Indeed. It's one of my favourites. It's a classic, and everyone kind of knows about it. So I'll do like a little bit of a summary introduction just for people who haven't read it or maybe can't remember what it's about. So it's a psychological horror book about Jack Torrance, and he's an aspiring writer, but he also is a recovering alcoholic, and he takes a job as a winter caretaker at the Overlook Hotel in Colorado, and he goes there with his wife Wendy and his little child, his little son Danny, who actually possesses psychic abilities known as The Shining, which is where the name of the book comes from. So Danny kind of sees into the hotel's terrifying, scary past with these psychic abilities, but then the demons kind of take over and terrible things happen. So it really focuses on themes like isolation, addiction, and kind of how fragile the human mind can be. So
I've never actually, and this is probably, you probably won't believe this, I I've seen plenty of clips, but I've never seen the full movie in its entirety. But it does have that terrifying scene when Jack Nicholson sort of tears the door down with the hatchet. Am I right?
Oh my God!
Or a hammer?
Yeah, I think with a hammer. Yeah, but I think that was actually like not even planned. And poor Wendy, she didn't expect that. And I just heard this coming here on the way to the podcast that she got like lots of therapy after because she was so scared. She was so traumatized.
So he just did that sort of ad hoc. Just went, I'm going to sort of going to bust this door in.
Yes.
Wow.
So what you see on screen is authentic.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
But it is a stone cold classic, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
So without giving too much away, I mean, how did you feel about the book? I mean, were you scared reading it when you read it first? When did you read it first time?
I read it like 10 years ago when I was in college. I had to do an essay for it. And then recently I read it again because I watched the movie and I was like, I actually want to compare the two. It was for a personal project with a friend. And I thought, oh my God, there's so much in here. There are so many themes that I missed the first time I read it. And honestly, the more times you read it, the more things you'll pick up. But like one of the biggest themes that I saw this time was like sins of the father and how parents can influence children and how they can mess them up sometimes.
And it's so difficult, isn't it? To convey that on screen, it's very hard, isn't it? It really is. But also from people watching it who are realising it, I love my parents, don't get me wrong, but they do, I think, inadvertently sometimes instill in us, real sort of terror and fear and everything. But I don't think they mean to do it. They're kind of living their lives for the first time too, aren't they? So they're allowed to make mistakes. But I get that point of childhood trauma and then that affecting you for the rest of your life.
And they really try. I mean, I think like even Stephen King's intention for this book was to make Jack Torrance not just a regular two-dimensional villain, but rather a person that has real feelings and emotions. And throughout the novel, like if you really get into it, he really Jack Torrance lures us in into his mind, into his emotions, and he's deeply ashamed and almost kind of suicidal sometimes because he's so guilty. He feels very bad about all the things that he's doing, and he's dealing with alcoholism, and that came from his parents. His father was also an alcoholic, and that gets passed on to him, and he does his best to stop it, but the demons just get the better of him.
And I noticed you've got Dr. Sleep here. So this, Dr. Sleep, I read a little bit about this. It's not a follow-up as such, is it?
It's a sequel. So
is it a sequel? Yeah.
The son, so Jack Torrance's son, Danny, who has the Shining, who has these psychic abilities, he grows up, and Dr. Sleep is about him as a grown-up. And unfortunately, the book starts with poor little Danny actually being an alcoholic. So it's been 3 generations of alcoholics and addiction, and and it's just trying to break that cycle, which is so difficult to read about as well, because you really get pulled in and you kind of sympathise with the characters. You don't feel like they're just villains. They're not just out there to, do bad things to people. And it's hard. And like, I mean, I think that's what Stephen King wanted to show, that sometimes we can't even control it. I have a quote here that I want to read that Stephen King
go
said.
ahead.
And he said, like, monsters are real and ghosts are real too. They live inside us and sometimes they win. Which is so like, scary.
Do you follow Stephen King? I don't know if you use X still. What was Twitter?
Yeah, occasionally.
Oh God, we won't get into it now, but boy, it's something else now. But I am still on them, clinging on with my fingernails. I'm thinking, please go back to how it was. Yeah. But I do follow Stephen King on there, and he's such an interesting character.
Yeah.
The way he thinks and the way he sees the world. I think some of the stuff he tweets is just terrifying. In a tweet, I'm like, this guy's scary even when he's tweeting.
I think he is. I think I heard him in an interview saying that if he wasn't a writer, he might have been a criminal. So thankfully, because he can channel all these thoughts and all these scary things going on in his mind to scare us and entertain us, that's why he's so successful, I suppose.
I had to sell 400 million books, I think he sold now.
Yeah,
I mean, can't even calculate.
It's crazy. But it's nice that it's like a safe space to kind of read about these things, to imagine them, and maybe that's why it helps a lot of people in society as well, because you're getting it out of your system. You're reading about it and that's it. You kind of okay, if you're curious about it, you've read it and then you've put it away and that's it. It's a safe place kind of to play with your imagination, I suppose. So
wrap it up first then. So would you recommend this book to somebody? And we always ask everybody to give us a score out of 5 stars. So what are you giving this?
Oh, I'd give this a 4.5 out of 5. Not 100% 5 out of 5, but I definitely would give 4 a half out of 5. I think if people are interested in if they want to be entertained by horror, definitely read it. If you love psychology or psychological horror, definitely read it. Or if you know people or that have addiction problems or abuse or dealing with these very kind of difficult traumatic experiences, it's a great book to read as well, because there's some nice little nuggets of information there that could help you get through it. So for example, poor little Danny, at the end, one of the characters tells him, never repress any feelings. If you ever feel like you're struggling with something, just go in the corner, cry about it, talk to someone about it, and then get it out of your system. So maybe that's kind of what Stephen King has done with all his novels. He's just
getting it out of his system.
Getting it out of his system, yeah.
In the most public way possible. Yeah.
And making money and entertaining us.
So you can obviously borrow The Shining from the library here. We have plenty of copies, and we have copies of Dr. Sleep. But do you recommend if somebody reads The Shining, then they should follow up and have a read of Dr. Sleep afterwards? Do they go hand in hand?
I think they do. And honestly, you can also read them separately. Like if you've never read The Shining and you just get into Dr. Sleep, you can also read that. You don't need to. It's just extra information, or it's great to kind of have the 2 points of view, Jack Torrance's point of view and then Danny when he grows up. But if you just want to read one or the other, it's a complete experience in itself. So
yeah. Oh, listen, Carolina, thank you very much. Really, you've been very eloquent, wonderful. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. And like I said, you can borrow those books from here in the library. Carolina, we'll hopefully see you again next month.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we've come to the end of another podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Alan and I'm here with Gary.
Hello.
We're going to wrap up with a few bits and bobs of what's happening around Central Library and, of course, out in the district libraries as well.
Yeah, so the big event this month is the Festival of Libraries. This was winner of Best Event at the Manchester Culture Awards in 2024, and it's now back for its 5th year. The Festival of Libraries is the biggest festival of its type in the country, and it will be bringing together all of Greater Manchester's libraries for some fantastic events between the 4th and the 8th of June, one of which is a special Sunday Fun Day at Central Library, isn't it, Alan?
These happen 4 or 5 times a year. This is a very special one, actually. It's on the 8th of June, Sunday the 8th of June, and it's going to include a show that runs from 2 till 3:30 called Out of This World. You can join Wendy from Daresbury Laboratory and Dan Worsley, children's author and performance storyteller, as they embark on an extra special extraterrestrial storytelling journey. Yeah, you better bring your space cap. Dan will weave fact and fiction to prove that with a little bit of imagination, anything really is possible. It's a guaranteed out-of-this-world storytelling experience. Now, these tend to be very busy, don't they, our Sunday Fun Days? So make sure, if you can, to pre-book. It's free, but the tickets are limited, so you'll need to go to Library Live for a bit more information. But that's the Sunday Fun Day, and it's on the 8th of June.
Excellent. So next up we've got a performance by Coalesce Dance Theatre called Threads. This will be in Central Library in the performance space. And it says, Threads is a poignant and powerful story about mental health, friendship and identity. The latest work from Coalesce Dance Theatre uses stories from young people across the north of England to delicately weave together an emotive and uplifting contemporary dance and physical theatre performance about growing into adulthood. So that sounds really great. That again is free, but it's ticketed. And it says everyone's welcome, but it's most suited to audiences above 14-year-old.
And that is Saturday, 7th of June.
Saturday the 7th, yeah.
Okay, right, let's whiz over to Hume then, Hume Library. A few of the things happening over there. On Tuesday mornings, they're now running a weekly over 50s coffee morning, so both you and I could go over there and pop in and say hello. Over 50s coffee morning, where people can have a hot drink and some biscuits. There'll be lively chat. It's a nice group, and they do a different activity every week. Stuff like, for instance, they come into Central Library to the Archives Plus have a look around, and they plan trips out to garden centres or to craft fairs and stuff like that.
Lovely.
So if you're looking for some company and you like coffee and biscuits, then please, Tuesday mornings at Hume Library. And also they're starting a book club as well for the book lovers in the area. They're meeting on the second Wednesday of each month to discuss their chosen book. Again, drop into the library for more information. And finally, Happy Saturday is a new craft session for children and families, and it's to be held at Hume Library every Saturday morning, run by the library volunteers. So it's a great time for children and families to pop in and, their words, unleash their creativity.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Excellent, yeah.
And I think we've just got one more, Gary. We've got to tell people about this VR Day.
Yeah, really excited about this. So for 2 weeks in June, Manchester Libraries will be hosting a state-of-the-art virtual reality headsets and a feast of digital experiences for the public. So we're going to be trained up to do this, but they'll be...
I don't know if someone's thought this through properly, but carry on.
So the public can come in and use these headsets for 2 weeks in June, from Friday the 6th to Friday the 13th of June, and there's a Wallace and Gromit game that you can experience. There's Philharmonia's Lark Ascending, a spellbinding 360-degree performance of Vaughan Williams' piece. There's a piece about the Berlin Blitz and something called Monoliths, which is about England's northern landscape. So I'm really excited
I know, I bet you are. That's making you geek out a bit, isn't it? For sure. The only thing I've seen with VR is videos on YouTube where people are running into their televisions or falling out windows because they think they're being chased by a zombie and stuff. So I don't know, maybe bring some kneecaps and elbow caps or something like that.
I think you will be supervised.
yeah, you will be supervised at all times. But there you go, that's VR week at Central Library. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh yeah, just before we go, next month we'll give you some more information on our upcoming Oasis week, because we are celebrating the fact that Oasis are in town. I can see Gary really trying to muster up enthusiasm here. Oasis are in town playing a spectacular 7 nights at Heaton Park. We're going to celebrate the fact too, have some Oasis themed stuff going on, some prizes and whatnot. We'll have a bit more information about that for you next month when we know a little bit more. But if you know an Oasis fan, tell them Central Library is the place to be between the 14th and the 19th of July.
Yep. And before we go, I'd just like to mention the real exciting news that Manchester Libraries have been awarded the prestigious accolade of Library of the Year at the recent British Book Awards 2025. It was awarded to Manchester Libraries in recognition of its multi-strand and citywide Blue Peter Book Club Live programme, which made superb use of the revered Blue Peter brand. It brought so many children and families into contact with our libraries and reading. So, yeah, really well done to everyone involved.
Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody. We shall see you next month.
If you've enjoyed listening to this episode and would like to support all the great activities taking place in Manchester Libraries, it's really easy to make a donation to Manchester's Library Trust, the charity that supports lots of our cultural, educational and archival activities. Just visit www.librarylive.co.uk or www.manchesterlibrarytrust.org and hit the donate button. The Trust are also encouraging donations for a new book gifting appeal that's accompanying Read Manchester's See Myself in Books Festival in March. Find out more at justgiving.com/campaign/See Myself in Books.